Hi everybody, welcome to the show. Today we are answering a question that we get all the time, and it has to do with the cost of homeschooling. And the question that we get all the time is, can you do it for free? Before I give you my answer, I want you to click below and make sure that you subscribe, click the bell so you get notifications, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So we get this question a lot, can you homeschool for free? And it comes out of just family circumstances. There are a lot of single parents who want to homeschool. Often, most homeschoolers come from one-income families. And so that means budgets are tight. And so the idea of homeschooling for free is really appealing to a lot of people. So the question, can you homeschool for free? My answer, after thinking long and hard about it and having gone through everything that we've gone through this past year, can you really homeschool your kid for free? No. That's the short answer. I really believe you cannot homeschool your kid for free. The reason is you need to have a budget for everything. So whether you're looking at homeschooling for free versus public school, even if your kids are going to public school, you still have a budget for your kids going to public school, whether you realize it or not. In public schools, you're going to be paying for school supplies. That's a big one. When you get back to school in September, you have, pencils, papers, notebooks, binders, crayons. I worked at a school where kids had to bring in 3 reams of paper every year to make sure that the teachers had enough paper to do their photocopying. The kids had to bring in 6 boxes of Kleenex, 1 pump of hand sanitizer. Like, those were costs that went into sending a child to a public school. Other costs that go to sending your kids to public school, sometimes you have locker fees, field trips, school lunches. There's all kinds of things that go into sending your kid to public school. New clothes, indoor shoes. Like, these are costs that a lot of people just don't think of when they come to the cost of sending their kids to public school, because it's free. It's covered in your taxes. You don't have to pay for it. So some of the things that you're going to be spending money on if you're homeschooling, you're going to spend money on field trips, memberships to science centers, museums. Like, those are things that you are probably going to spend some money on, whether it's admission to your local orchard, to pick apples, whether you're going to the science center for the day or an aquarium. You are going to spend some money on field trips, because field trips and hands-on learning is kind of like the cornerstone of home education. That's one of the reasons why we as home educators want to have our kids educated at home, because we can take them to places so much more frequently, and they can actually learn out in the real world and not just theoretically in a classroom. So you have field trips, that's a big one. School supplies, you're gonna still be buying your kids those same school supplies that they were buying in elementary school. Now, you might not have to buy as many because your kids will have them at home, and you won't have to buy as many binders and things like that, but you will have to buy some school supplies. You will still have pencils, markers, paper, printers, notebooks. Like, these are still things you're gonna need. Craft supplies is another place where you're probably gonna be spending some money. Homeschool kids have more time to spend on crafts and art, which is a good thing, but that does also mean that you're going to have more supplies. They don't have to be expensive, but it's just a cost that you're gonna have. I remember teaching in a public school, and we would be doing crafts, or we'd be doing an art lesson, and the kids would be like, okay, here are your 3 pieces of paper, and that's all you can use for this project. And that's not fair, because that's not art. Like, who limits their kids to 3 colors? Because that's all you have when you're dividing amongst 30 kids. Books, homeschoolers tend to really love their books. I'm sure you can see behind me, our shelves are full. Books tend to be a big place for homeschoolers to put some money in. You don't have to. It's definitely, you can definitely borrow books from the library. But sometimes there's some great books that just make so much sense to own, especially if you have multiple kids. If you're gonna start a book with an older one, you can use it for the younger one later on. Extracurricular classes. So homeschoolers tend to take a lot of extracurricular classes that are geared to their kids. So either it's, our kids take gymnastics, they go to French preschool, luckily that one's free, but they do go to, I know people who their kids take language lessons, music lessons, dance, soccer. There's all kinds of different activities that your kids can do. Those usually have some kind of cost. And then you have your cost of equipment to do those. That's just a cost that I think a lot of homeschoolers are willing to pay, because their kids are getting such great education that's directed exactly where they want to do it. So their kids are doing exactly what they want to be doing and not just what's being taught in the school at the time. The last place where homeschoolers spend money is the big one. It's curriculum. I know personally homeschoolers who spend quite a bit of money on their curriculum. They put aside a couple $100 to $1,000 a child to buy their curriculum for the year. And when you see their curriculum hauls, it's like stacks and stacks of books. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case, and it's important to remember that the most expensive program is not always going to be the best program. But curriculum is a place where I would say 90% of homeschoolers are putting a big chunk of their budget. But does everyone have to spend that kind of money on homeschooling curriculum? The answer to that question is also no. You don't have to spend a fortune to educate your kids at home. The question is always, can you homeschool for free? And I think a better question should be, can you homeschool on a small budget? The answer to that question, I would say, is yes. You can definitely homeschool your kids on a small budget. There's no reason why you need to spend thousands of dollars educating your child every year. That being said, it just means you have to really think about and be choosy about what you're doing and what you're picking for and bringing into your home. We're going to do another video all about how to save on homeschooling and the cost of homeschooling. That will be coming up next a little later. But homeschooling doesn't have to be expensive. You can pick a budget that you feel comfortable with and that your family is able to afford and homeschool your children. There's a lot of different, like I said, lots of different curriculums out there. There's lots of free programs that you can use. And there are definitely ways to save money to make homeschooling economical for everybody. Like, there's no reason why you need to go broke homeschooling your kids. So I hope you enjoyed our video, and make sure you subscribe because we'll be back with more great tips, and our next video will be on how to save some money on homeschooling. So until next time, bye.
If you like what you saw, please subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to get notifications when we upload our latest videos.
Give us a thumbs up and don't forget to leave us a comment. We'll see you next week for more activities, adventures, and lifelong learning.
Bye!